Great, thank you. So my name is Raina Matson. I'm the principal of Newport High School, and I want to welcome the class of, I will try to move it closer. Sorry, get to see a lot of me right up close then. So my name is Raina Matson. I'm the principal of Newport High School, and I want to welcome the class of 2024 and all of the parents. We're really excited to have so many of you on tonight and for forecasting to start. So there's a few people that will be presenting tonight that I want to tell you who they are, and then they'll each introduce themselves. So we have our 9th and 10th grade counselor, Kendall Mulholland. We have our graduation coach who actually works with our freshmen. She's our freshman success team, and that is Felicia Todd. We have our IB coordinator, Jody Hanna, and we have Jesus Hernandez, our district Hispanic liaison, who will be supporting Newport High School with translation during the 7 o'clock slot. So I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves, and then we will start the program.
All right, so my name is Felicia Todd, and I am the 9th grade graduation coach. I'll talk a little bit about freshman success and my whole purpose at the school when it's towards the end part of the presentation, but I am really looking forward to having your students next year at our school. Just on a fun note for me, making this class kind of extra special was I was teaching PE for a couple years at Sam Case, and so I had many of your students for PE. So I'm looking forward to having them again.
Hi, I'm Kendall Mulholland. I'm the 9th and 10th grade counselor. I'm super excited to meet all of your students and you and just get to work together next year. So thank you all for coming. It means a lot to put in effort and have families show up and really care and be supportive of their students' education. So it's really encouraging to have such a big turnout, even under the unusual circumstances. So I'm glad y'all are here.
All right, do we have Jody on yet to introduce herself?
She's working on some technical difficulties, so maybe she'll just pop in when she figures that out.
Okay, so we do have one other presenter, and we'll introduce you to her when she gets up to speak. All right, so tonight we're just gonna do a quick overview of the agenda. We're gonna be talking about a parent group that you might want to be involved in. We're gonna talk about athletics, the clearance process and how to be involved with that. We'll talk about attendance, diplomas and graduation requirements. Jody will be talking about the IB program and how a freshman student can be preparing for that. And then this last section is just talking on freshman success, which is what my position is about. All right, next slide is, I believe, yeah. So we have a parent group that meets once a month, and they do some fundraising to fund academics around the high school. And so I think they refer to themselves often as the academic boosters of Newport High School. And I am now a part of that team. And so two of the big fundraising events, you may have heard of them. One is the big duck race that they do on Marine Science Day. It was canceled this year. It's usually in April. They do a duck race at that event. And then they also coordinate, I would like to show a show of hands, but that's not going to happen. So some of you are familiar with a spelling bee, and they are the coordinators of that, and it brings in money. So the fan group meets once a month. It's has teachers on it, people in the community, and lots of parents. So they're always looking for people to join the group. They do some neat things with their funding, and when you're on the team, you get to be a part of approving what gets funded. Just this year, we were able to fund some anatomical models for our IB biology class. They also fund field trips for some of the AVID classes. So they really, those are just two small things, but they really do fund a lot of things around the school. If you're interested in joining FAN, Jenny Scarborough is the contact person, and she will put you on the mailing list, and so you can join the meetings and get information. You can come to meetings, but you can also just volunteer to do specific projects. for any of the fundraising events. All right, athletics is next. So here at Newport High School, you can see the list of athletics that we have and their season that they fall into. I wanted to just make one note that you'll see equestrian, sailing, and cheerleading. So they all follow the OSAA guidelines, but they are considered clubs. And fall sports will be starting as of right now, August 17th. And Kenna Johnson is our athletic secretary, and she doesn't have good internet service. So what she wanted me to make sure that I include in sharing is to just, the website currently is not up to date, but she will be updating it as information becomes available. So you will want to look at that if you have a student who is interested in any of those fall sports. Next is clearance. So for your student to be cleared to join athletics, is they have to have a current physical, and those are good for 2 years. So if you have an 8th grader who did a sport this school year, they would still be good for their current or for their physical their freshman year of high school. If your student does not have a physical, you'll probably want to get on that right away this summer, is trying to get that scheduled. And there is a form that the doctor needs to fill out for the physical. And all of the, if you go to the Newport High School website, there is a tab for athletics, and there's also then a tab leading you to the forms. So all of these forms listed here are on our school website, and you can download those. But the physical form you'll want to take with you to the doctor's appointment to get the sports physical. And Kenna kind of made a note about it may take longer to get in to see the doctor with all the COVID stuff. So keep that in mind if your child wants to do a fall sport. That might be one of the first things you tackle this summer, is getting the physical cleared. So there's a participation form, insurance form. The code of ethics needs to be signed by both the parent and the athlete. And again, that is all outlined on the website, so you can download those papers. There is a fee for every sport that your student is in, and where it says waivers available, what that means is there are ways for your student to work off that $125, and the school provides opportunities and notifies students on how to do that. So if you are interested in your student being eligible for waiver hours, then there's just a piece of paper they can fill out. Pure performance, life of an athlete, that is something they can do on their own. The website that they go to is listed under the forms, and that's something they can do on their own in preparation for a sport. The concussion test, it says there it's every other year. So your student would need to take that this year, but it can only be done on Kenna has computers in the athletics center that has the program for that. So she will be keeping people posted on when they can make appointments for that impact test. Next.
I also want to point out that academics is a really important part of athletics at Newport High and Oregon in general. So you need to be enrolled in at least 5 classes and be passing 5 out of your 7 classes, not only the semester where you're playing the sport, but the semester before it, and also being on track to graduate. So if you fall behind your freshman year with academics and you're behind on credits, then we'll need to try and come up with a plan to get you caught up to be eligible to play sports, making sure you're passing 5 out of 7 classes. So I just wanted to, also if you guys have questions, there's a chat box. You guys can type those in and we can answer them as well if they come up as we're presenting.
Okay, there's one more slide for athletics. Okay, so there's the grade thing that Kendall was just referring to. So your 8th graders, they will all be eligible at the beginning, and then 6 weeks into the the athletic season, they will have their grade check, and that's where she was saying they need to be passing 5 of their classes. So if they're not, there's an academic probation, and I don't recall how many weeks they're on probation, but I think they have a couple weeks to make it up, like 10 days or something, right? I can find that out exactly for you, but they are still eligible to practice. They're just not able to compete in a competition. If they don't get that grade up, then it's possible that they would not be able to be on the team anymore. So right now you see fall clearance is listed as August 10th through the 14th. That could change. So as of now, that is what they are saying, but please just keep going to the website and checking the athletics information. The next point is the website. So you can write that down if you would like and go check out all the forms and print off what you need. That's where you're going to find it. So after you get to the website, you're going to just find the athletic tab. Our athletic director is Lindsay DeVries, and she was new to us last year. And then Kenna Johnson is the athletic secretary. So those are the main points we wanted to share with you for athletics. All right, next section, talking about attendance. You probably all saw this in some format last year, so every day matters. So we're talking about attendance. It was a big campaign for the school district last year. Our target is that students are missing 9 or less days. There's a strong link. Kendall, if you take me to the next slide. We know that attendance and grades are directly connected, and therefore it also links to your graduation. So without going into a lot of research, there is research available if you wanted to check it out. But just looking at attendance, and students who are chronically absent are considered, or students who miss 17 or more days are considered chronically absent. And the research really goes to show that starting even in kindergarten, if they're missing school, that math and reading test scores are lower. And it's accumulative. So if they're missing, we know that students struggle. And so I wanted to just share, outside of all that research, just when I'm talking to students, and I know Kendall can attest to this as well, being the counselor. So when students are missing and then they come back, it's pretty overwhelming. And so what I hear over and over from students is just the stress level that they feel after being gone and trying to come back and make up the work for all of their classes. And one thing to point out is it's not just making up an assignment when they're not in class. It's missing out on the conversation that happened in class time. It's missing out on the teacher lecture. And so they just miss out on important components. And so we know that students who are chronically absent need a little extra support to help them get to graduation. So the district feels really strongly that we want our students there. We miss them when they are not. And so we also have a resource in our district. Andrea Music is our district attendance officer. And we know that Lincoln County School District is unique in so many ways. And so having her be a resource to the schools and to families to really help overcome barriers that might be preventing a student from getting to school or being at school on a regular basis. So our goal is to make people aware how important it is to be in class, but we also really want to support families who need to figure out ways to kind of problem solve through those things. So that's all about attendance.
One other thing I wanted to say about this is just in case we're continuing this distance learning for all, I wanted to talk about what attendance looks like for us right now. And continuing at distance learning, what that looks like. I'm not sure what it looks like at the middle school, so it might be similar, I'm assuming. But so you'll be assigned a cup time teacher, and that's like your advisory teacher. Every Wednesday between second and third period, you'll meet with this teacher. And it's part of their duties right now to check in with every student in their cup time and have two-way communication, which means they reach out to the student and the student responds once a week. So we're counting that as attendance and bringing up those students that aren't showing up in Google Classroom or Google Meets with their teachers or responding to their cup time teachers as attendance. So just making sure if this continues into next year that you're responding to teachers when they're emailing you so we can make sure that you're doing okay, have everything you need, and not worry about you. So there are a couple different options as far as diploma types for students in Newport High. The most common ones are an honors diploma, standard diploma, a modified diploma, and an IB diploma. So a standard diploma is what most students receive. And I'll talk about what the different requirements are for different diplomas a little later. But that's like, you got your 25 credits, you met the needs of all the things. An honors diploma, you're going to take a little more advanced classes. There's some extra requirements. There's a GPA component that goes into that. There's some extra credits that you need to take. A modified diploma is for students that are on an IEP that need things adjusted a little bit to reach them where they are in their learning. And that's discussed with Mr. Sabatka, who is our IEP case manager. And then the IB diploma is like above and beyond. That one is doing all of the requirements of the honors diploma on top of some IB requirements that Mrs. Hannah is going to share with us shortly. So here are the different requirements for high school graduation. Like I said, the regular diploma is this first column here. You need 4 English, which means you're taking an English class and passing it all 4 years of high school. You need 3 math credits, which are integrated math 1 and up. We have a new we have a new math curriculum this year. And so instead of like algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, it goes integrated 1, integrated 2, integrated 3. So integrated 1 is basically algebra 1. So you need algebra 1 and 3 or 2 other credits on top of that. You need 3 science credits. You need 1 PE, 1 health, which will be taken care of your freshman year. 3 social studies, which happens junior and senior year. You've got 3 fine and applied arts credits, which are like art, band, computer science classes, theater, there's child development classes, things like that would qualify for that. So to graduate from high school, you do not need, with a standard diploma, you do not need any foreign language credits. If you decide to take Spanish, that count towards your applied arts, but it's not required for graduation for a standard diploma. And then you need 6 electives. And then the other things that you need are meeting essential skills. And then there's this Curly project that you do your senior year. So the difference between a standard diploma and an honors diploma, for an honors diploma, you need, the English is the same, math is the same. Everything is the same until you go down to world language. So you'll need to take 2 years of Spanish, because that's the language that Newport High offers. You need 3.5 GPA. You need to participate in extracurricular activities every year. And then there's 1 additional credit in a core class that you'll need to take. So you can take an extra math or an extra science to fill that need. And 4 of those credits need to be either IB honors or credits from the community college. And then I just wanted to point out the university bound requirements, because they're a little different than standard diploma in that 4 universities in Oregon require you to take 2 years of a foreign language. And they also have some different science classes, like you'll need to take biology and chemistry, some lab type classes for that. You'll also create an education plan, and we'll be doing that on a system called Overgrad. It's a really cool thing where we'll plan out your 4 years, what classes you're going to take based on the track that you want to go down, whether you're university bound, whether you want to go to trade school, or say you want an honors diploma. We'll plan out your 4 years and what that looks like in the classes that you need to take. You'll demonstrate extended application through collective evidence. You'll master your essential skills. So there's 3 essential skills in reading, writing, and math. And those can be completed in a couple different ways. You'll take your PSAT freshman and sophomore year. Junior year, you'll take the ACT and Smarter Balance. And by meeting certain requirements on those standard tests, you'll be able to check those off. And then your senior year, you'll participate in a career-related learning experience, which is the CURLY. That's what they call it for short. And then this is just a flow chart of math and science, just to give you an idea of what classes you would take based on where you're starting. So a typical grade level freshman is either going to start an integrated 1A, integrated 1, or integrated 2. And then there's a couple different paths you can take based on your goals. And then science, there's a couple different options for where you're starting and where you end up. So honors diploma, we kind of talked about that stuff already. We'll just skip past it. So college preparatory programs, we've got the IB, which Ms. Hannah is going to talk about. Dual credit. So there's a lot of opportunities for students in Newport High to earn college credit while they're still in high school. Starting your junior year, you can enroll in OCCC and do dual credit classes. The district will pay for 1 class per term starting their junior year, which equals 6 college classes because they have 3 terms instead of 2 semesters like we do. But we also have classes within the school that they can earn college credit for. Mrs. Hargett's class, the child development, you can earn credit through Chemeketa Community College, where the IB and honors classes can also earn students college credits while they're still in high school. So IB options. Is Mrs. Hannah ready?
I am.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
So
I was
glad
on
you
a
made
different
it.
computer and I can't hear anything, so I had to find a new plan. Here I am.
Okay, well, take it away.
All right. So you can take classes only. So if you want to just take 1 IB class or you want to take 6 IB classes, you can just take the classes. When you take a class, you can just take the class and get the information and get high school credit for it, or you can test in those classes. And every class that you test in, you can get a certificate for if you are just taking the class and you don't want to get the full diploma. So you can just take the individual classes, and whatever classes you decide to take exams in, you get a certificate for each of those classes. If you decide to take the IB diploma, which is a separate diploma from Newport High School's diploma, you get it in addition to, you will take 6 IB courses and you have to test in all 6, and at least 3 of them have to be HL courses. For several HL courses, we actually offer more than 3, and every once in a while we have kids who take more than 3. So you can take 3 HL and 3 SL, or you could possibly take 4 HL and 2 SL if you would like to do that. The content is a little bit more in the HL courses. You also are required to take a class called Theory of Knowledge. We have some kids who aren't getting the diploma who also take Theory of Knowledge, but if you want the diploma, you have to take it, and we call it TOK. It's kind of like a philosophy class. We talk about the ways that we know things. It's really interesting. Lots of kids really love that course, even if they're not testing in IB. And then you also have to complete an extended essay. And the idea of the extended essay is that that we, as a high school, kind of hold your hand through the process of writing a college level research paper. And we teach you how to do it, and then at the end, you will produce an extended essay. And that is one of the requirements of the diploma. Something that's not on this slide that you also do is called CAS, Creativity, Activity, and Service. I think I put it on one of the other slides maybe. Oh, there it is at the bottom. Creativity, Activity, and Service are opportunities for you to get involved in the community in creative ways. The activity is, doing things that are physically active, and then of being of service in your community. And the idea behind that is that we are growing up to be well-rounded individuals who are active in our communities and who contribute to the world. The vision of IB, which stands for International Baccalaureate, is that we are well-rounded global citizens. IB is all about our global involvement and kind of stepping outside of ourselves to be more involved in the world around us. So on the next slide, it just talks about what is the IB program. So it's a comprehensive and challenging course of study for students who want to go on to university studies. It's very similar to advanced placement, but it's more, the philosophy of IB is a little bit more in depth than AP, rather than really talking about how you've learned a lot of facts. So AP is a lot of factual information, like I have a lot of knowledge, and IB is a little bit more about the way that we think. It's very interesting to me. One of the examples that I think is really good is that, for example, in English, when you write about something in your exams, two people could write exact total opposite examples of what they think is true. And IB doesn't care if they think totally different things, as long as they can back up what they think. So IB is really about a way of thinking, and do we think deeply about things, and can we justify what we think with facts and with evidence in the world around us. IB program graduates are welcome to the world's leading universities. When you want to go to a state school in particular, like OSU and University of Oregon, if you get a 30-point IB diploma, it's a little bit complicated to talk about all the points, but there's you get points for different things in IB, and your diploma is worth a certain number of points. And if you earn a 30-point diploma, entering as a freshman at OSU and other state colleges, you actually enter as a sophomore rather than a freshman. So when you get the IB diploma, you end up being able to knock out a lot of those freshman classes when you go to the university. And then why take IB classes? You can see all of the reasons why on here. You know, you can get university recognition. It feels really good to accomplish something big. It's really great for your critical and analytical thinking skills. Students who do the IB diploma feel better prepared to go to college. You can earn college credit in advance, but it really, I think, helps you become a better student. So when you go to college, I think a lot of our students come back and say that they don't think that college is as difficult as their peers when they've done the IB program. You develop fluency in a second language because generally you take 4 years of a foreign language, and then having that global engagement and perspective of being a well-rounded individual. On the next slide, it talks a little bit about what we've done at Newport High School. The picture there is our diploma graduating class from last year. This year, we have 44 students who are receiving credit for 116 IB exams. So 44 students were taking 116 tests this year. We have 8 students who are going to get the IB diploma. And research shows that students who take IB courses or AP courses are more successful and have higher graduation rates from college. So when we talk about, you know, going to college and having all of this credit and being more well-rounded, I find it really interesting that the statistics bear out that it's not just about going to college, it's about completing college. And the number of students that actually go on to finish their college education finish at a much higher rate of when students take IB or AP courses in high school. Now, if you're a freshman and you want to prep to take the IB program, there's some classes that are important for you to be thinking about. The first one is Advanced English 1. You have to be on track in English in particular to be in the IB program, because it is an advanced English track and you have to take IB English in order to do the IB program. There are a few things in IB that are your choice. So there's some classes that you get to pick. Maybe you might take one while one of your friends maybe takes something else. But English isn't one of those. Everyone who does the IB diploma has to take IB English. So that's an important thing to have on your radar. Math, as a freshman, you can take integrated math 1, 2, or 3 as a freshman and be on track for IB. You're going to want to take Spanish 1 or Spanish 2, whichever you're currently on track for. If you've already had Spanish 1, you can do 2. Our Spanish courses, you can test in IB actually your junior or senior year, so depending on where you're at with that. You're going to want to take biology, which is typically, I think, a sophomore course, and then to get your health and PE out of the way like every other freshman, and then you can take an elective course in whatever you are really interested in. The picture on there I want to point out to you is the IB medallion. So when you graduate from high school, if you get the IB diploma, you get one of those IB diploma student medallions at high school graduation. Our valedictorian and salutatorians get a medallion as well. And so the kids they're like, are we still going to get our medallions this year? Because they were a little bit worried about that. And I'm like, you sure are. So some of them even said to me, there's some fun things that go with getting an IB diploma. They get this medallion. They get a little IB keychain that spins that apparently they think really cool, because they were asking me about that too. And then Mr. Hanna, my husband, who teaches at Newport High School as well, he always makes them something. And typically he makes them a pen or a water bottle that he engraves. And they were all asking me about that the other day. And I said, oh, is that important to you, like getting the pen? And some of them said, the only reason I did the IB diploma program was so I could get Mr. Hanna's pen. So apparently that's a big deal too. So there's some little blingy things that you get when you get the IB diploma too that everybody always feels good about in the end. But I am a huge advocate for IB, not just because I'm the IB coordinator, but I have had 3 of my own children get the IB diploma, and every has said how grateful they were that they did IB. It helped them in college. They all have felt more successful and feel like they were really prepared. I think that's my last slide, isn't it, Kendall? I think so, thank you. So I would just like to say that if you are considering doing the IB program, not everybody decides their freshman year that they're going to do the IB program. So if you aren't, it's not like it's all set in stone right now. But if you want to come and talk to me or set up a meeting on Zoom or whatever and talk about the IB program and what it could look like for you personally, I'm always happy to do that. This year I had both freshmen and sophomores in and out of my office throughout the year talking about what their schedule could look like and what IB could look like for them. And I'm always willing to meet with students and talk about what it looks like for you, because what it looks like for you might not be exactly what it looks like for somebody else. So please don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions or it's something that you're interested in pursuing. Thanks.
Thanks, Mrs. Hanna. So freshman year, ooh, whoa. What is it going to look like? So freshmen take the same, 5 classes are kind of laid out for you, and then there's 2 electives. So everyone takes English, math, science, health, PE, and then some students take AVID as one of their electives, which you can apply for, and then one other one. So how courses are selected. Some of you have started forecasting, which needs to be done this week by Friday, and got in there and realized some classes were already chosen for you. So there was a process for how you were selected. It's based on your performance in middle school and where your 8th grade teachers think would be a good fit for you to be in advanced English. Miss Murphy had an application process that she wanted you to go through and read your applications and decided that way. She also looked at your 7th grade test scores and transcripts. Biology and science was based on what math level you're in and how you did in middle school. And everyone's taking health and PE. So what do you do if you want to change it? So right now we don't have the schedule set up. We're just putting all the classes in the system and it's going to create the schedules. If when you register for school in August, you're not satisfied with your schedule, you can make changes then. Or if you think you got placed in the wrong class, you can email me and we can look into it and talk about why you were placed there or what might be a better fit for you or what we can do about that. So Felicia, you want to talk about freshman success?
Yes. And then will you look in the chat? There's a question, or to see if you could send a link. I started to respond. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about freshman success because all your students are going to be freshmen, and I just think this is a really powerful program. So just a little bit of background, 2 years ago, Lincoln County received Measure 98 funding, and that funding, one of the ways our district chose to use it under the umbrella of increasing graduation rates was freshman success. So they took this, it's based on about 15 years of research out of Chicago Public Schools, and they just really started to talk about, so they had a 50% graduation rate. So you were just as likely to not graduate as graduate. And they spent a lot of time and energy and researching what would help students increase, how could they increase their graduation rates? And so they just found that freshman year ended up being very pivotal for students. And so one is it's a huge transition for students. And I think it's easy to just kind of assume that they'll just get the hang of it. And, but we know it's a big transition. So in addition to that, brain development is changing. And so we even learned this year just kind of where they're at, that their ability to organize and structure decreases from 8th grade into 9th grade. It goes down, and you can assume that it would get better because they're getting older, but that's just not where their brain development is at. And so there's other things going on, so that does go down for a while. So we now know that giving it some additional support to freshmen can increase graduation rates. And so one of the biggest pieces for that, I'm going to skip for a second, where it says FOT, that stands for Freshman on Track. And so that is the key data point that we're looking at. And so a freshman on track is a student who by the end of their freshman year has earned at least 6 credits, and where if they've had a full schedule and they've passed everything, they would actually earn 7 credits. So they have to earn a minimum of 6 credits, and they've failed no more than 1 semester of a core course. And in freshman year, well, in every year, math, English, and science are considered core classes. But in freshman year, we also consider health and PE to be part of their core course. So they have 5 classes that they will need to earn credits for towards graduation. So if a student finishes their graduation or finishes their freshman year with at least 6 credits, like I said, and no more than 1 F in a semester of a core course, then they're considered on track. And on track data, students who are on track have 4 times more likely a chance to graduate than a peer who is considered off track. So maybe they either failed a half a semester of 2 different core classes, maybe English and then a science, or they just failed an entire year of English. There are supports that we would put in place to still help that student as much as we can, but the data just shows it's more difficult for those students to graduate. So that's the definition there. In the transition, I kind of just glossed over that for a moment. We just take that transition really seriously, and we want to make sure that our students coming in feel supported and feel like they're getting the hang of high school. So part of what we do to help with the transition, so if your student has been at Newport Middle School since 6th grade, you're familiar with a program called WEB. At the high school level, we have a program called Link Crew. So our upperclassmen are trained and then spend the first half of the first day of school with freshmen, and they give them a tour. They play games to just kind of get them eased into, getting familiar with the group and feeling comfortable with their group. They give them tips about high school and how to make the transition. And so it's a really fun program. So they spend half a day with their Link Crew leaders, and then we do some follow-ups during the school year with those Link Crew leaders. So we'll get to those planning. But just know that there's a couple of things that the Link Crew people will do with your student throughout the school year to just stay connected to them. It's a really great program. The other thing that we take pretty seriously is making sure that freshman teachers have some familiarity with their students coming in. So we do spend some time before the school year starts getting to know who are incoming classes and getting familiar with your students on paper before we come in. So we kind of know how to support them as they come in that transition as well. So grades and GPA, we know that these are key indicators for predicting graduation rates. And so we like to, so I'm going to skip down to the bottom as well where it says freshman success team. These kind of go hand in hand because this is a team of people where it includes myself and Kendall and all the freshman teachers. And we meet once a month. Right now we're meeting every other week, but normally in the school year, we're meeting once a month to talk about our freshman class in general. So we're pulling all kinds of data. So we're looking at our students, we're looking at grades, we're looking at GPA, we're looking at attendance, we're looking at behavior. We take into account teacher concerns or comments. And so we just sit in a group and we really talk about what's going on with our freshmen. And we try to, as a team, come up with supports and ideas to help students be successful in class. If they're kind of on that verge of passing, but a couple percentage points behind, then we're gonna make sure they get the support they need from a teacher or just connecting them with somebody that already knows them pretty well and can have a frank conversation with them just to get them moved into a passing for the class. So that's the freshman success team. Like I said, it's made up of Kendall, myself, and the teachers. And since we meet once a week, we also want parents to know that you're welcome at any point to contact one of us and, express concerns or bring up whatever issues you want to discuss, and we can bring that to the team and have a conversation. So we invite your input on that as well. But I think it's an exciting program because it's such a pivotal year for students, and it kind of sets the tone for their entire high school experience. The freshman teachers are amazing. I couldn't ask for a better team of people to work with. They definitely care about their students. And so it's a great thing to be a part of.
So I guess, I don't know if anyone has any questions. You can unmute and ask, or you can post them in the chat. So while that's happening, so here is Felicia and I's contact information. If you go through all this and you think about it, or you're helping your student forecast, and you have questions, you're not sure why they're placed in classes or what, you can shoot me an email and I'd love to talk to you about it. One thing that I do want to say about contacting me is I love to hear from the students. Not that parents aren't great, but they're in high school now, and I feel like my job is helping students advocate for themselves, whether it's with teachers or peers, anybody. And so to help the freshmen and ninth graders start advocating for themselves is super awesome. So anytime that the student feels comfortable reaching out to me, the better. Or if you're reaching out to me, I'm always going to include the student either in the email or the phone call, or hopefully next year we'll be in person in the meeting, because it's their education and I want to make sure that we're working as a team together to help the student be successful instead of just working with you directly. So I just wanted to share my my little 2 cents about that. So
Kendall, can I talk about transfers?
absolutely, that'd be lovely.
So if you are on a transfer, meaning your address is out of the Newport area, and you've already filled out a transfer request, then your student should automatically have been pushed to Newport High for registration. We are still missing about 10 transfer requests. So if you have not yet filled that out, then you will need to do that. So I'm not sure if the question was regarding forecasting or registration. If it's about just registration in general, we require all families register every year. So all families will need to do registration in August. It's the same online format that happened in middle school. And we do, hopefully we'll have an in-person registration the week of August 18th. But if not, everyone will be able to do it online. I'm not sure, Star, if that answered your question, but please ask if there's more to that.
Also, because we were unable to have our new students come see our school this May, I have created a virtual tour video of the East Campus and the West Campus. I uploaded one of them in the chat box. I couldn't get the other one to upload, but I'm going to be posting them on the NHS website. We also had our freshman teachers introduce themselves and give a little blurb, and then have some elective teachers describe the elective classes that they teach, just so you can get a feel for the school, the teachers you're going to have next year, and thought that it would be fun to create a video. So those will be posted probably tomorrow on the website, so check those out. Yeah, so any other last minute questions? I really, really appreciate everyone coming. This is a really great turnout. Like I said, here's my email. If there's any questions that come up later, or as your student is forecasting, please feel free to reach out. Fall registration happens in August. Raina, do you know the date offhand? August 18th. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's currently August 18, 19, 20. We usually do like a 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Type of a setting. Everything that needs to be turned in can happen online. So for those people that don't want to come in, you can do that. Or if we're unable to with social distancing, we're not exactly sure. But yeah, everything will be on our website starting in August. And you'll also be given, you'll also be mailed home information on how to do that with your identifying an A number. And so that's something, it's really important for all of you if you've changed phone numbers or addresses, to make sure to let Newport Middle School know so we can get the correct information, because that information does get pushed to our system.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. Feel free to log off now, and hopefully we'll see you in the fall.